Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is David Fryer, and I'm talking to you from Chiang Mai, Thailand, where I am, one of my things that I do is I'm a teacher at a university for monks, and I teach English to the monks. They can get a bachelor degree in English, studying English and Buddhism, and I've been doing that for many years. And along the way, I've met a few monks that were quite extraordinary and stuck out in my mind, and I had nice connections with them in class and outside class. And one such monk was Phra, and we had many very interesting conversations over the years when he was wearing the orange robe of a Theravada monk. And now he's back in Vietnam, and he is no longer a monk. And I'm just so happy to have a conversation with him. First time we've talked face to face in about at least 2 years or so, right?
Yes, that's 2 years.
And you go by the name of Tyler now. I'm still not used to that.
I see. So, yeah, some people say, "Oh, where does that name come from?"
Right.
Because they are just so used to my, monk name, Prale. So when they see on my Facebook, profile the name tylerletanhoa, so they say, "I don't know you have that English name." But yeah, I have an English name and some story behind that as well.
All right. Right. So now you're in Vietnam, right?
Yeah, now I'm in Vietnam.
Okay. And you're no longer a monk.
I'm no longer a monk, about 1.5 years already.
Okay. And how long were you wearing the robes of a monk?
Let me see. Around 8 years. Around that, yeah.
Right. Fantastic. And you had lots of experiences in Chiang Mai because you were being outside the Thai monk system. It gave you some freedom to act as a monk. And you had some interesting roles teaching meditation to all kinds of different people, working in rehab centers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I came to Thailand as a Mahayana monk, so probably, of course, you know for sure, but maybe people also know that there are two main traditions of Buddhism, Mahayana and Theravada. So in Thailand, they follow Theravada Buddhism. So when I came to Thailand, I was a Mahayana monk, so I was in different tradition, and then I came to Thailand, and then I changed my tradition into Theravada. So thanks to that, I have experience in both traditions, and also, as you just said, I again I step out of Theravada tradition too. I mean, when I was in Theravada tradition in Thai Sangha for about 5 years, and then I returned to my Mahayana tradition. And in 7 years in Thailand, I also went to teach meditation to the rehab centers, and also have some good experience with other groups, like people from around the world come to Thailand, to Chiang Mai, to seek for spiritual teaching, and also the students from around the world come to Thailand to study, and I was invited to come to talk to them about Buddhism and meditation. So those are my experiences.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Right. And I made some videos of our chats in the past and posted a few little clips on Facebook some
Yeah,
years ago. And
uh,
yeah, that was those are the, seems like a long time ago before all the COVID mess and all of that happened, doesn't
yeah,
it?
it's long, it's long.
Yeah.
I think
So,
when we are waiting to when we are waiting for the situation to pass peacefully, so it makes the feeling of seeing things like it's a long time ago become more clear.
yeah, interesting. Right. So, I mean, your perspective in like you said, Mahayana and Theravada,
Mhm.
Vietnam and Thailand,
Yeah,
um, two different countries, two different cultures. Um, you've been working with Westerners so much while you were in Chiang Mai. You were in high demand there. A lot of the Westerners were either very spiritually oriented and trying to develop themselves,
yeah,
or they were actually people who were kind of desperate and in need of help,
hmm,
emotionally, psychologically, in the rehab centers.
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
yeah. In addition, in your one of our listeners might not know, or they wouldn't know, is in the class where you are studying. It's an international group of monks, so it's actually a really fascinating group of your
Yeah,
monk peers
yeah,
from all over Southeast Asia. So you're studying in an international group of monks in another country, in another tradition, dealing with Westerners of many different flavors. So it's just such a wide range of experiences.
mm,
And to me, it really feels like you've done so much to integrate the questions that the Westerners have, what it means to the real Buddhist teaching, the real
mm,
Buddhist practice, and in your own life. And you've always, I think, all of us who know you, we feel like have always done your best to walk the walk and really put the teaching into practice in your own life, your own action, your own words, your mind, your habits, your daily life. Um, so it's just wonderful to be able to talk with you here now.
me too. It's wonderful to talk to my one of my favorite teachers. And
Oh, so what's your morning routine now? What do you do in the morning when you wake up as Tyler?
um, let me see. I still do some formal sitting meditation, and sometimes I also do some tai chi chuan, and tea. Of course, tea is for me something cannot. Mm, it's always there, as you know. We have a lot. We had a lot of time drinking tea with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are things I'm still doing. Um, I think that's quite similar to a monk life as I did before. And then I start to do some working, like I prepare for my teaching, English teaching, and my studying as well, because I just finished my counseling study. So
Oh, so
yeah,
you've trained formally to be a counselor.
yeah, that's right.
Oh, fantastic.
So I just finished, and before I also needed time to put to that study. So yeah, that's my morning routine right now. And right now, I think right now is something different as well, because just about 1 month, I moved to my farm in a very remote area. So right now I staying there about 3 or 4 days a week. and I only come town about 2 or 3 days to do my teaching or to do something that requires internet. So in the morning there, because it's in a remote area, kind of a mountainous area, so no internet, no people. So I stay by myself, and in the morning I need to do extra works, like, you know, when I stay with my family right now. My mom and my sister-in-law will do cooking or do the laundry. But right now, if I'm stay in the farm, I need to do those things. So in the morning, I need extra time to do those things as well.
Excellent. Do you like this lifestyle?
Yes, I can say yes. It brings me some very interesting feeling that I am living a real and normal life. It's not so extraordinary. You know, when you are living as a monk, somehow you don't. I don't know for other monks, but for me, I don't feel that. I don't feel that something very normal, very ordinary from life that I want to experience, but I could not. It's just a little, but for me, that little things is important. So right now, I'm kind of living in with that little thing, little feeling.
Mm-hmm. So you mean, like, as a monk, you're not really allowed to manage a life of planting and cooking and cleaning and washing and taking care of things so much, because you're part of a temple and the temple itself has its rules and its system? Something like that? Am I understanding you right?
One thing, and also because as you said, when you belong to a system, something, let's say what you do is already organized, already arranged, already given to you in a way, and you belong to a system. And also because for me, I love the feeling of create things, the normal things like, you know, doing the works in home, you know, build up something and create something, and it should make me feel okay. I'm doing this, and I feel great. I still remember when I was a teenage, about 10 or 11, when I was still outside, not came to the temple yet. One day I read a book about I don't know, I cannot remember the full story, but there's one detail that the man moved to another place. He created the new house, he created his new life, and he does little thing like he make a chair, a table out of the wood in the forest, and it just, by that time and in that age, I feel, wow, somehow I feel that I love that feeling. And right now, I'm feeling that I'm living that life with little things, and that's why at the beginning when I talk about my name Tyler, because I look up in dictionary the Tyler, the word also name also means that you know, in old English is the word used for the people who is his family traditionally does the job, like, you know, create the what do you call the tile of the roof?
Mm-hmm.
Tile
Okay,
of
the
roof.
roofing tiles.
Yeah, so that name is was used to call the people who does that job, and I think, okay, I just love to do that little thing, so it fits me.
It fits you. Nice. Did you get that name after you left? Is it a recent thing after you left being a monk, or did you pick it up when you were a kid looking for an English name?
No, I didn't pick it up when I was a kid. It was given to me by a friend before I disrobe, because in Vietnamese name they call me Thầy. Thầy means a teacher or a master, and Le is my family name. But and the name Thầy Le somehow sound very familiar with the name Tyler. So that happened.
I like it. I like it. Okay. And now I'll feel a little more comfortable with the name.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
That's nice. That's nice. Hmm. Okay. Um, I guess I need to move into some Buddhism here. In the simple or the primary teaching of Buddhism, Buddha's first sermon, right, was the Four Noble Truths. And for me, I just, one of the things that strikes me about a very profound teaching is the first time you hear it, you can pick up something and you feel there's something useful. And then the next time you hear it again after absorbing everything, and you still pick up something new and useful. And then the third time, you can keep, fourth time, fifth time, after years, you can keep coming back to it. It's yeah, it's like a well that you can just keep drawing from. And so I've noticed as I've reflected on and had more life experience, the Four Noble Truths of the Buddha. Number one, understanding suffering, the suffering of life. Number two, understanding the cause of suffering, which is often talked about as desire. Number three, understanding the ending of suffering. And number four is the Eightfold Path, the way, the path to the end of suffering. And that includes all the right speech, right, first of all, right view, and then right thought and speech and action and meditation and livelihood, all of those things. So, I mean, this is to me, I think maybe more in Theravada Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths are used a little more fully in Theravada than Mahayana, do you think?
Yeah, I agree. In Theravada Buddhism, you will find the Four Noble Truths mentioned more frequently.
Mm-hmm. So, as something that, and it doesn't have to be the Four Noble Truths, but something like that as an idea, the basic core of the Buddhist idea that you, as someone who's practiced your whole life and then has had all these different experiences, kind of where are you at now with the, if someone now, because I think when you were practicing, when you were teaching meditation, when you were talking to these troubled Western people, when you were talking to untroubled but very awake Western people that were still looking for a high level orientation or guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And they would ask you, what's the basic idea of Buddhism? What's fundamental? What is it? Yeah. How do you feel about all that now?
So just now when I said the Four Noble Truths are more often mentioned in Theravada Buddhism, I say yes, but I forgot to add something. Is that when I say it's mentioned more often, I mean by words and by let's say we can use the word academically.
Okay.
Because when you open the book, you can see that if the book of Theravada Buddhism, you probably will see the Four Noble Truths are there more clearer than if you open the book of Mahayana Buddhism. But still, I think I need to say that from my opinion, Theravada or Mahayana traditions are both talking about core thing is the suffering of being a person in this world. And of course, if we don't explain more, this may sound very negative, but yes, if there is something higher or more transcendent that need to start with the basics of suffering, and from that that's why it's called noble truth. And from that basics there will be some transcendence and some higher higher teaching or higher step going toward the something that we yearn for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Has your relationship with suffering changed or just matured? Because I think your path hasn't always been easy.
That's right. My path has not been easy, and I can say that if you want to ask how I relate to suffering, just yesterday when I was working on my farm, and somehow some thoughts came to my mind that, wow, if I don't understand, if I don't recognize the meaning of the teaching about suffering of Buddha, when he says it's noble. I mean, the suffering is noble. The truth about suffering is noble. I may not be able to bear what came to me, because in those moments of feeling down and so dark, and kind of you see no way out, and you see no meaning. But because I knew intellectually and also from my experience that this will pass and something greater will appear, and I will become more mature, more let's say more peaceful, even peaceful after this period. So that experience and that knowledge should kind of raise me up. So by time, from events to event, from time to times, so that knowledge become more clear and more stable and more settled in myself.
Mm-hmm. So the other day when you were in the farm having this thought that you need to understand, do you feel like your stability and peace and understanding is enough now to deal with what may come?
It's I think I cannot answer this question because we don't know what will come
We
first,
don't.
and that's why we don't know what is enough, right? So
True.
we just know, okay, we are here, and things may come, but we don't know what will come. So cannot say it's enough or not. But at this moment, at that moment, and at this moment, I feel okay. I'm okay now, and maybe that is enough.
Maybe that is enough. I'm okay now. Right, right, right. As a layman, and maybe just as who I am as a human, and my historical story and of how I got here, and my personality and quirks and characteristics. One of the issues that has been with me is anxiety. I get anxiety. My mother worried a lot. She acknowledges it herself. She's a worrier. Maybe many mothers do that. You know, it's
I
part
agree
of
with
the
my mother too.
yeah. And I picked up that, or I had it myself. I don't want to blame my mom, but I get some anxiety. I get some anxiousness. I get some worry. Uh, has have those emotions changed for you now that you're a layman and you don't have the support of the temple and the monkhood around you?
I see. Interesting. Mm, I guess right now I'm experiencing more worries and more anxieties. But I see that it's not something mainly created by environment.
Mm-hmm.
The environment only, as it serves as just as a factor that, make that feelings, make that emotion come out.
Mm-hmm.
So because I say that because when I was a monk, and although at that time I felt pretty good, I felt like I lived in a good place, and people also said that they look at me and they feel the peace.
It's true. It's true. We always, and I think that's one reason everyone loves to be around you. It feels that way.
And when I heard that, I understand it, and I felt it too. But still, I still had a feeling that it's not there's something not real yet. I mean, still little thing there can comes out whenever the condition is right. I mean, the negative and the negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And now I see, okay, when I say I become more anxiety, when I have more, like worries, actually, because that little thing I saw in the past is here. And maybe when I was a monk, in a way, I was not supposed to be worried. I'm not supposed. I'm not supposed to be not to not have so much anxieties.
So you were following the rules.
So that's why, although I see what people say is real, but still something that told me that it's not 100% real yet. So
Mm-hmm.
so right now, as a layman, you may agree, and people also may agree that worries and anxieties are something you are so familiar with, and you have the right to be to have it.
You have our permission now to feel anxious and worried. Yeah, interesting. So does that mean that had you continued to be a monk, some of those things could stay there and you might not have, you would have sensed them, you could feel something was there, but maybe it would never actually come out and have you see it clearly?
Yeah, you put it very well. Yeah.
Okay. So would that mean that you're learning things about yourself now that you can see more clearly than you could see when you were a monk?
It's a good comment. Sometimes I talk to my friends and about experience what good to experience this new lifestyle, and I also tell them that yeah, right now I can see myself more clear, and some corners that I didn't reach to, some corner that I unconsciously I didn't go there, but right now it becomes more conscious, and that's why I understand those hidden things.
Interesting. It's made me reflect what you just said. I have kind of a simple life, the way I live, and I'm wondering, am I keeping it simple so that I don't expose those hidden troubles inside me and keep them quiet? Maybe.
Yeah. It's good in a way, right? It has a benefit to keep life simple, and to manage not to let things become a mess, but also in a way, if if we still try to control things in our we try to control, we try to hold things in our hand, and I don't know the full name, but there's a book like of a Buddhist said that when you haven't felt kind of out of control or breakdown, so you haven't fully experienced your 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 potential or your life. So just let things out of control also not a bad thing.
Right. That's maybe looking back, it's okay to say that, but when you're in the zone, when everything's out of control,
Yes, yes.
that's no fun.
But I think if we already experience those moments of being in a mess, being in a place where we feel so bad, the next time we fall into that place again, something there will remind us that okay, it will pass, and this is not the end of everything.
Right. Okay. If you could if you could talk to me, if I don't know if it's possible, but if you could explain a little bit I'm still going to the same theme again, the feeling of how you feel now in your life compared to when you were as a monk thinking maybe you'll remain a monk. So when you're in the fullness of monkhood, you're really only thinking of staying a monk, being a monk, living as a monk. And because that, I think some of my anxiety is future oriented, right? It's like what will happen in the years coming. But if you're in a phase of your life as a monk and you're thinking, yeah, maybe I'll continue this way, then all those, that creates a different kind of peace or at least I imagine it creates a different peace in your mind. Now that you're living as a man, as they say in Southeast Asia, a monk or a man. So that's You know, it sounds strange to an American ear when people say that. You were a man when you're a monk too, but is that what they say in Vietnam too? Did they say a monk and a man?
If you once, if you are once a monk, that saying will be applied to you. But
Okay.
if if you are not a Buddhist and you are not in Buddhist family, and so it's not like in Thailand everyone are Buddhist. Most of them are Buddhist, so that's saying pretty true to them. But in Vietnam, only if you are once become a monk, and then you are supposed to be a monk forever. So maybe in that situation you can say a monk or a man.
Okay.
So it's applied to me when I was a monk. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So yeah, do you have anything just to say about just as another aside, the reason I'm on this is because did you ever meet Prabasakorn Bavilai? He was a monk that I worked with to help translate his Thai book into an English book. So he was the one who had the book about karma at Wat Phai Hin. Right. He actually
I haven't met him.
Right. He actually passed away about 6 months ago. Right. Very shockingly, he had some heart condition.
Oh.
But in his story, he was a normal guy, a Thai guy from kind of a good family, well-to-do family, money, connections, high education. He studied physics at university. He became a professional photographer. He had a full life as a layman, and then he decided to become a monk. And he had a way to talk with people that was very different than normal Thai monks because of who he was, but also because of that life experience he had.
Yeah.
And I think having both of those experiences made what he said in some ways more powerful, more real. People could feel that, wow, he's experienced kind of both sides. And so you've done that, but the other way around, you started with the monks and became a layman.
I see, yes.
So I think somehow when you talk about Buddhism, because you're still, I mean, I feel like I know you. I think you're gonna be living along the lines of the teachings of the Buddha for the rest of your life. Is that true?
So you mean even with or without the monk form?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
So now I'm coming back to the same question again. When you're reflecting back on how the Buddha's teachings felt as a monk and how the Buddha's teachings feel as a layman, anything you can share about that? If not, don't worry about it. I'm not trying to put.
I see.
But I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, I sometimes thinks about this as well. If when you read into the sutras, let's say the Pali Canon, or the sutras there, you may see that the lay people are taught to practice some basic things like 5 precepts and giving food to the monk and do some household things to get things done with full responsibility. And the teachings for them are different to the teachings for the monks, and that may make we think that yes, the teachings of the Buddha to the lay people and to the monks are different. It means that the way they the ability are different. The abilities of the two are different. That's why the teachings are different. But for me, of course, many people will disagree. But for me, I feel that the difference are there because the responsibilities are different, not the nature are different. The nature of people are the same, and if the teaching, if if the core teaching, the essence of teaching is the truth, so the truth must apply to the nature, not apply to the appearances. So if something are different because the appearances are different, because the responsibilities of the layman and the monk are different, like the layman needs to take care more things. They have to think about things more, and the way they relate to other people are different to the way the monk relate to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So about those teachings, yes, they are different. In this situation, you should, if you are a monk, you should relate to this girl different, and in this situation, if you are a layman, you should relate to that girl also different. And also as a monk, you need to keep your rope tight, you need to keep your arms round, arms bow clean, or you need to go to collect food at certain time. And for the layman, you need to fulfill your responsibility to your mom, to your wife. So those things, of course, different, but the core teaching which apply to the nature of people, I mean, the way you see your mind, the method for you to see your mind, anyone can practice that. And also, if you want to discover what is within you, so everyone can do that. So come back to your question, I will say there yes and no. Yes, because the teaching for for responsibilities, when I'm a layman, I feel I need to do that. But the teaching for the teaching to find the higher truth, I think I still feel the same when I was a monk. Do I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just basically wanted your ideas about that. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Interesting. That playing different roles with different responsibilities, yeah, makes it the focus or somehow the 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 parts of the teaching that are really applying to your daily life feel different. Right, right. But it's the same teaching.
Yeah, the same teaching when it comes to the teaching about the mind or about the truth. Both monk lay person experiences suffering. Maybe the forms are different, the way they experience suffering are different, but there is still suffering.
As you're moving through Vietnamese society now, a little bit more, and you're moving through as a man, a normal layman, not a monk, but you have the eyes and the wisdom of someone who's been a monk. How do you feel about the issues and the problems that you see that people have, maybe in their habits, the way they communicate with each other, the way they live their lives, do you have any insight on like how are people doing? Is society seem more or less healthy to you, or troubled, or any comment on the society? Feel free to say no comment if you'd like.
I have comment, but let me try to put it. You know what? I remember once I told you. I think the last time when we drunk tea in Wat Umong. Personally, I feel like I'm living in a bubble as a monk. It's like people come to me and they, behave better. They talk softer.
I'm still doing that.
But not everyone is like you.
That's true.
And somehow, because we live in the world of form, so when a person with a form of a monk appears, somehow people will behave different.
Yes.
And that's why as I told you that I feel like I'm living in a bubble. Yeah. And right now, when I am a layman and live within society, and they see me just as other people, so I must say that it's different.
Yeah, the bubble isn't there anymore.
Not everyone though. Not many people still, what we say. I see the essence in you, not the form. What right. We normally say. Many people still do that, but also many people don't see that. They say, okay, you take out your robe and no, please be normal. And that allow me to experience more and allow me to see things, see other aspects of reality. I mean, just the normal reality. Yeah. And so, yeah, basically that's what I feel when I return to Vietnam, and I see that.
And does it? Go ahead.
No, I just okay. You continue. Let me continue first.
Do you think Vietnamese society is healthy at this point?
I see. What do you
overall
mean healthy though?
Yeah, that people seem more or less balanced, more or less acting from a reasonable moral perspective, taking care of their lives in more or less a healthy way. Relationships with each other and family and work are more or less oriented in a reasonable, healthy way.
First, sorry if some noise come to you, because my nephew is there and he's playing.
Nice. How old is your nephew?
7 months.
Wow. Congratulations.
Very good.
Congratulations, Uncle Tyler.
Thank you. When you say healthy, I don't know if I need to have some reference, to compare. Healthy compared to when you say reasonably. Yeah. Maybe we use the reason to judge things, right?
Yeah.
I see that people here in Vietnam, they I remember one Westerner came to Vietnam, my friend. She came here and she took a lot of photos of people on the streets, and they do business, they sell little things to support their life. And she said that, oh, I feel it's so vivid, it's so alive when you see the tiny street, but people just out there, and so many people, and do so many things. So in a way, it's very active. People try to make a living, and you can say that the energy is there, very strong. So it's a positive thing. Maybe for people who feel like they need something, they need something very active, very alive, to make them feel, wow, I feel the energy of life is flowering. I feel life is there. So if that people need that, let's come to Vietnam. That they come to Vietnam. So it's a positive thing. On the other hand, I may say that we and the society need more, let's say, more instructions, or more they need to know how to navigate things. They need how to make things more organized, and even they try to support themselves, they try to make a living, they try to make them better. But we need an order. We need an order. We need a good direction. And I think that is something lacking here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some little thing I can comment.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Before we started, you said that you might have a few questions for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have two questions for you. First, I want to know if I want to know why you came to Thailand and stay there 20 years about?
Yeah, more than 20.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
why you choose a country here, and you kind of because recently I read the book of David Henry Thoreau, Waldon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one line is in a page. He says that I want to. He used the word, I don't know. I want to push my life into the corner. Okay, I want to push my life into a corner and to see what it is. If it's good, if it's something good, I will tell it to people. And if something bad, I also, take out its mask and tell people, let people know as well. So that when he chose to live in Warden, in that place, that was his intention. So it made me think of you, like you kind of, you in America, a big country, you are there in Western world. In my imagination, it's big world, it's fantastic world, and it's so many things there to do, to create, to but now you come here and kind of you put your life into, let's say, this room, the room you are sitting.
Yeah, my corner. I'm in my corner.
Your corner. So
Yeah.
can you tell me why you do that?
I guess there's a couple reasons. First, I wanted to get out of America first. I felt like you, maybe not the same, but you said you were in a bubble. I was in an American bubble where I was being reflected back everything from America. And not the highest of America, but like normal everyday American culture was just that's all I knew, and that's what was reflecting back on me. And when I first traveled the very first time and left America and went to Europe, my bubble broke and I saw a different world. I saw Europe. I saw people were talking to me and asking me things about the world that I hadn't even entertained in my mind yet. I hadn't thought about them yet, and I thought, wow, that bubble is holding me back. So I made a plan to leave America. And I worked, saved my money. If you remember, I worked as an engineer and saved money there. And then left America with a one-way ticket, and I went to Europe.
Wow.
And after about 6 months traveling in Europe, I started meeting people that were coming from Asia. They had been traveling in the Middle East and then India. And so I decided, okay, keep going. And it got me to Asia. And after I got to Asia, something happened. Like maybe that comment you made about the people, your Western friend who was stimulated by the by the vividness of Vietnam. I was stimulated by the vividness and reality and the smells and the intensity of Asia. And I ended up traveling in Asia a bit and working in Japan for a while. I went back to America, traveled a bit, but I was interested in Asia. And I went back to Japan, saved some more money, and didn't want to be in Japan anymore. I love Japan. I was about 4 years there. And then I came to Thailand and came to Chiang Mai, and I didn't plan to stay for so long, but I felt comfortable. And I think that was what happened to me. I kept thinking, is there some place I would rather be? And the answer was always no. So it wasn't as if Chiang Mai grabbed me right away and I felt, oh, I've found my dream place and I'm here. But maybe in a small way it did, because when I started thinking of where could I go, I wanted to go back to America to visit, but I didn't want to go back to live. And I might have wanted to go other places to visit, but I wanted to come back to Chiang Mai it just always felt natural. When I came back from America and landed in Chiang Mai, got off the airplane and I could smell Chiang Mai and feel like I'm home. So, yeah, and my life is simple. There's something Walden about it. I don't have much money, but I don't have many demands. I live simply, and I feel I can do it in sort of an honest, simple way, and that feels good for me.
Fantastic. It's like when you said when you ask yourself that if you want to stay in Chiang Mai, the answer was always no, but somehow it ended up that you are here. It made me think of saying that when something big is happening, you cannot see it. Like they say, when the earth rotating around, we cannot see it. So something big happened, we cannot see it. So
there you go. I couldn't see it. If you would have asked me after 6 months after I got to Chiang Mai that will you stay here a long time, I would have said no. Right, I couldn't see it. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Do you think that can you try to analyze or explain why it happened that way?
I think there was something like, I think your Walden idea is there is something about that's been in me. running after money, because I could have made money as an engineer and working like that. And it just wasn't very interesting for me. It didn't feel correct. It didn't feel right. And in Chiang Mai, I found so many things. There was like a culture where people value the present moment. There's a culture here where people value enjoying yourself, enjoying being happy with your moment right now. I was working with monks, and I still am working with monks,
it's a
which
big part,
which is a big part of it. Absolutely. If it wasn't for the teaching at the Temple University, Chiang Mai would feel very differently for me.
I see.
So that it gave me a feeling of being useful and also stimulated and keeping me oriented on something that to me is very important. And Chiang Mai is about the right size for me. It's not. I don't like Bangkok, and I don't want to. And it's too big, and a little town is too small. And Chiang Mai, for being as small as it is, it's quite international.
That's right. That's right. It's a great place.
Yeah.
When I I just this road 1.5 year, and when you come to a temple and you ask a monk with many years of practice of practicing Buddhism and meditation, you will ask for advice. So why not, if now I ask you for advice for some clarity for the years that you have lived, outside there, outside here. And especially with you already experienced many years in a Buddhist country and with Buddhist teaching and spirituality in general. So it's very helpful and appreciated if you can give me some clarity that you have.
Wow. Yeah. Do I have clarity? I think my clarity has changed over the years. So that's one thing I've become clear about. Maybe as you feel you've got different phases in your life as a monk or as a layman, or even as a younger man than you are now. By the way, how old are you now?
34.
34. Okay. So I'm 59 now. Okay. So over the years, as I age, I find my perspective shifts. What feels very important for me now, and I feel like maybe I had it developed when I was younger, but I didn't consciously have it as developed as it feels now. Listening to my deep heart, my deep guidance. And many times I don't know what's the right thing to do, but I often know what's the wrong thing. Something feels wrong.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it seems like my no is a pretty strong no. If I try to move in a direction and it feels wrong, I get a message. It's like, And in the past, sometimes I didn't trust it enough because my logical outside mind would give me reasons that this was a good choice. But this hasn't been wrong. Yeah. So actually listening to myself more and really honoring it as a valuable message, as maybe the most valuable message. I wasn't doing that when I was your age. I was doing it a little bit, but I was mixing it quite a bit with other things. But I was honoring the no if the no was strong, because it just felt bad. But I wasn't honoring a soft no, or I wasn't listening to the warnings enough, or I was maybe hesitant to say or do something. So I think honoring those deep things inside myself has become very important.
Mm.
Whether that's a good advice for you, I don't know. But for myself, that's where I've been at recently.
It does because it's something, listen to the heart is something kind of well, what they say, the thing that we say so many times, so often, but to make it become a compass for our life is not easy.
It's yeah.
Because I also remember I myself I use a lot of you know uh, analyzing mind to deal with problems, and more I see I don't have that much result when I do that, because so much of different possibilities out there, and I cannot calculate all of them to a certain extent. I can, but and compared to what I already planned, to what I already calculate, compare that with the what happened in the real situation. It's a lot of difference there. So I understand when you say use a lot of analyzing mind or logic mind, and rather to listen to something else different.
Right.
Yeah.
And personally, when I was a kid, I think I wasn't actually taught, but somehow I picked up the message that that voice inside me might be wrong. And I think the reason I picked it up is because my natural character wasn't directly in line with American society so much. The things that the other boys like to do, I often didn't. I like to do other things. Other people were very happy to get their jobs and go to their work, and that really made them happy. But for me, it didn't. And so I kind of felt like, oh, this voice in me that doesn't like these things, it's sort of a problem maybe. But so I had to realize, wait a minute, it's not a problem. It's actually telling me, yeah, that's not your path. Your path is somewhere else. Your path is something else. That's a fine path. It's just not yours. So I wasn't clear on that as a young man, that difference between that kind of, it was a muddy, the water was muddy in my mind about whether I was making a mistake or whether it was society that was trying to lead me in a direction that didn't feel right. So after I got a little more clear on that, and I'm still getting clear, of course, but that was, I didn't realize that I'd built up a little distrust for that inner voice.
So to have the clarity to distinguish the voices,
it's hard. It's been hard for me.
Yeah.
That hasn't been easy for me. I think maybe in my generation, American men, it wasn't that easy. We weren't nurtured in that kind of attitude. We were kind of like, this is the right thing to do. Go ahead and do it. Be reasonable, be sensible. That's all reasonable advice if your mind is in that line. But my mind wasn't really in that line. So
I see.
Yeah.
I just had one more last question.
All right.
So do you have the feeling of missing out things when you live this life?
That's a good question. Yeah, what do they call that? FOMO, fear of missing out. When I was your age, I guess, when I was in my 30s and early 40s, I had some wrestling with that. But there was enough excitement and interesting cultural things in Chiang Mai that I was diving into the culture. I was I was married to a Thai woman at that time, and there was so many new experiences coming. So they maybe weren't the new experiences that I was exactly wanting, but they were new enough that I knew, okay, I'm fully engaged in life at some level. These days, no. There's been a change in the last, I don't know, a handful of years, maybe 5 years or so, where I really feel like the real thing I don't want to miss out on is this present moment, being present and awake in this moment as it is. I don't want to be running around in my head. I don't want to be chasing some thing if that requires me to not actually be present in this moment.
Beautiful.
So that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about missing the moments of my life.
Okay. And the more you worry, the more you miss.
Exactly. And then I have to like snap out of it and say, okay, I'm here. I haven't missed it. It's still, the moment is still here.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah.
Isn't it? Isn't it funny? But before I might have thought I'm missing that experience, that activity out there, that thing.
Yeah. I'm touched when you said right now you only the thing you worry that you miss is your life in the present moment. I simply feel, wow, it's so valuable sharing that I hear from you.
Wow.
Fantastic. Yeah, question.
Well, we've been going for over an hour now. Let's just, I say we ought to wrap it up here. I would hope we're going to be talking again, but let's imagine you were back in Chiang Mai or sitting around a group of Western people that were asking you again, yeah, what can I do to make my life smoother, easier, less suffering, more joy? Anything you'd say now?
For me right now, that question is so big. You know, to answer to someone how to live their life is something wow. But I can say that one question often comes to me is that what do I value? What do I value? And that question actually leads my life to this place, and where I feel, you know, I'm living my life, and I feel I'm living my highest value. So again, what do I value? And that question can put into calculation, like when I plan for my 1 month of my life, like how much money I will get, and you know, it becomes a question about value. You know,
yeah,
I get that money, but how much time left, and the time left, how valuable it is. So it's all around the value what I value most, whether it is material or let's say spiritual. So that question will lead me. So maybe people can sometime ponder on that question too.
Fantastic. Tyler, it's really great to see you, and I really hope we have more of these conversations, because I've missed you. I really have.
Yes, I miss you and miss our time, so our tea time in the past. So hopefully we will have more conversation around little things. And
right. Okay. So I'll sign off the recording and we can have a little more chat here.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.